The thalamus?
Ventricles?
Okay. You can't see it. There's a ventricle over here, a lateral ventricle left.
So these
and
aren't
there's
on
a
the
right.
practical. Because
That's
you can't
right. Not
see
on
this.
this model.
On
On
this
this
model,
one.
you can't see it.
Okay.
So what happens is, the only one we can see is the third ventricle that is bathing the thalamus with the cerebral spinal fluid.
Okay.
Then the only other ventricle on this model would be the fourth, between the center of the pons and the base of the arbor vitae of the cerebellum. That's our fourth ventricle.
Okay. Great.
What was the tube that delivers fluid from the third ventricle to the fourth? Cerebral aqueduct.
Aqueduct.
Now, what part of the brain stem is it? It's not pons, it's not medulla.
Quadrigeminal.
It's close to the corpora quadrigemina. It is midbrain, also called mesencephalon.
The mesencephalon.
I hate it when there are many words that are 100% synonymous. I hate it, but I love it when dorsal and posterior horns work, because I forget which one.
Okay.
Some schools, we're not a big thing here, but I know every place before I got here, we always ask, what's the name of that little belly button that is like a rod that holds the thalamus lobes together if the thalamus is a yo-yo? What's the rod the string is wound on? Interthalamic adhesion, also called the intermediate mass.
That's what that button
That's
would
that
be.
little button. the
It's not
belly
on our
button.
list. It is on our list, isn't
I
it?
don't know.
I think
I
it
just-
is. The adhesion, I'm pretty sure it
I
is.
just
Yeah, I think
know
it is too.
I had it
Yep,
highlighted.
interthalamic
Before I
adhesion.
came here, it was everywhere.
It's on
It's on
the,
here.
Come here.
It's on the Clay Adams
not so
Midsaggital
important.
head.
Yeah. So this is the brain model that's most important. Now, which ones did we do last week? And then I sent you a study guide for the quiz. No tricks. I didn't put a figure. I didn't guide you with either the superficial brain, the lobes. What's the lobe in? Well, what's the lobe protected by the frontal bone?
Frontal.
What lobe is posterior to the central sulcus?
Parietal.
Parietal. Which one processes vision?
Occipital.
Yeah. Whether the guy's got good vision or bad. What is this lobe, which is inferior to the lateral sulcus?
Temporal.
See how we can give a description and not really give it away? But expect a lobe question. What's this fissure that partially divides the two cerebral hemispheres?
Longitudinal.
Okay. Is it a fissure, a sulcus, a fossa, or a facet?
Fissure, I think.
It's a
Oh, it's a
It's
fissure.
a fissure. Let's say it affirmatively.
And what's the intermediate mass?
That is the name for the rod, the little dark
That's
spot.
That's the
What's
adhesion.
the interthalamic adhesion?
It's another name for the intermediate mass.
It's the same.
Where is it on here?
It's that little round green thing
Okay.
there. It's the rod that holds the two lobes
So
of the
they're
thalamus
just they're
together.
just calling it two different things on
It does. You pick the one you can spell. Do you like that? So we have midsagittal brain and we have superficial brain. Now the only other brain that we really have a thing for is one of these here. Does this look a lot like, if you know one brain, you know them all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we get tired of the little rubber brain, let's go to midsagittal brain. The advantage is some things a little more clear because I've got a bone. I wonder what that bone is that's holding the pituitary.
Sphenoid. Sphenoid.
Sphenoid. Holy bat wings, Batman. And then, what is that little hollow funnel that connects the hypothalamus to the pituitary? It's fun. Infundibulum. There's a 50-50 chance that's on lecture in or lab. No, the infundibulum. We have a thing about that here. Most schools do. Because chapter 16 will tell you it's an interstate, much like getting over to Hickson. Okay? You got to know the little highway.
And it connects.
The hypothalamus to the pituitary. Now, what is this thing here, which is a roof to the third ventricle?
Corpus callosum.
And what type of tissue should it be shown and not blue?
Right.
Should be white matter. And what protein is very abundant in white matter?
Myelin.
And what cell puts the myelin on those tracks? Perfect, Brian. Perfect. So that's our corpus callosum. It's the roof to the third ventricle. What is this area here with all the ridges? That's the cerebral hemisphere. Next question. Is it the conscious brain, the unconscious brain, gets right that, or the subconscious brain?
Conscious.
You guys can know I'm here. You know you're awake. You have all kinds of information in your cerebral cortex. Now, when you go to sleep, I never thought about this till I took science. Hey, I don't want to stop breathing. I'm glad my medulla does it. That's my subconscious brain. So here's my pons right next to my arbor vitae, and this little enlargement is my medulla oblongata. What's this little opening that allows the CNS to pass through?
Central canal.
What's the opening in the bone? It's allowing the
The
foramen magnum. And what bone is that part of?
Occipital.
The occipital bone. That's the border, the line of demarcation. What do we call central nervous tissue superior to the foramen magnum? Brain. What do we call central nervous tissue? I hope I'm in the right spot, no glasses. Inferior to the foramen magnum? Spinal cord. Repetition makes us expert. Now do this 3 times a day for 20 years. I can't help it get good or I'm stupid. I'm not smarter than you guys. I just repeat it more often. Now, can I apply it? 10% of this stuff you will use clinically. Ask any nurse and they say, they made me jump through the hoops and jump over the hurdles and I played the game. But I don't use it. You won't. But there will be a basic stuff that you will be, if you work in an emergency room, you will know your cranial nerves to assess where they had their brain damage. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What is this stuff here that is shown in red on this model? It's a type of tissue
Plexus.
that is epithelial. It is a plexus, a network. Choroid means resembles skin because it's epithelial in nature. What cells live in the choroid plexus? And they make cerebrospinal fluid by filtration.
Ependymal.
That's right, the ependymal cells. And what type of structures should they have to beat the beat the CSF along?
Flagella.
Cilia.
Cilia. I don't know why I said beat the flagella. I was thinking about the sperm thing tomorrow. It's the cilia. And so they beat it. They actually have on them their epithelial cells with many, many cilia. So much instead of beating the snot, moving the snot along like in your trachea, they move the cilia along.
And they can be squamous or columnar.
That is neat. I'm impressed you know that. But they always have cilia.
I don't know much. I just wanted to brag that I
That is
didn't know that.
neat. Hey, when you know
Brag when
something,
you can, girl.
and when I like your confidence. That means a lot. Do you see how this looks so much like this?
Okay.
Now let's come over here, which is a little bit nicer than this model. Why would we use this? I see some little nerve fibers that are penetrating deep into the olfactory membrane. Maybe we're giving you a clue. What cranial nerve might this be? Now let's tie it together with the other knowledge. What was the name of the flat plate that the olfactory nerve fibers pass through?
The cribriform.
Cribriform plate. Now those were a somewhat horizontal plate. What's the name of the little holes that olfactory
Foramina.
nerve
Foramina.
fibers pass through?
The foramina.
Foramina.
See, it sounds like the same word. Just say hole, fiber, olfactory foramina. What's the bone that possesses olfactory foramina in the cribriform plate?
Ethmoid.
Ethmoid, not to be confused with sphenoid, which holds the pituitary. So, what cranial nerve would this be? He goes to the football games and he says,
We're number one.
we're number one. They are. And are they sensory only, motor only, or mixed?
Sensory.
See, repetition, you'll be an expert. All right? Now, hopefully you go to open labs and the tutor will guide you, keep drilling you. Repetition's how you build your confidence. And when you get wrong, don't laugh at you. Say, I had trouble with that concept. Build you up. Do you see how this is, except for the bone stuff, pretty much the same? What's this muscle that allows you to stick your tongue out at your sweetie?
Genial glosses.
Genial glosses. Now, I'm not going to ask you, or some of you are not married, some other uses with your sweetie other than sticking your tongue out at them.
Yelling, of course.
Okay, there you could do that. Some people like some type of kissing with that muscle. How do you feel about this? Better?
Yeah.
These guys go hand in hand, the superficial and the midsagittal plane.